What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Ogre Boy, and I'm going to be doing my review for the 2014 movie, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. So, like with the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, this one's directed by Mark Webb, and in this movie, Peter Parker is, trying to deal with his relationship with Gwen Stacy, and it's kind of going up and down. Like they date for a little while, they break up, they get back together, they break up. And this is kind of due to what happened in the previous movie when he promised Gwen's dad that he would leave her out of his life as Spider-Man, and everything. So he's dealing with that, and his friend Harry Osborn has returned home and stuff, and his father Norman has passed away and has this genetic disease that he passes to Harry and everything. So Harry's dying and wanting to give Spider-Man's blood because he thinks that maybe that could help him, help save him, and Peter doesn't really think that's a good idea, so he doesn't do it, and makes Harry go in his own direction of becoming the Green Goblin. And all the while, he's also having to deal with the villain Electro, who is this electrical engineer that works for Oscorp that gets turns into this powerful electrical creature after a bad accident at Oscorp. And so he's wanting revenge on Spider-Man because Spider-Man acted like he was his friend and stuff, and he made him mad, so he wants revenge on Spider-Man and everything. So Peter's having to deal with all that, plus trying to unsolve mysteries about his parents still. In this movie, we find out a little bit more about them, but not a whole lot more. I think they were planning on continuing that out through the next movie as well, but this movie is okay. I'm not a huge fan of the Amazing Spider-Man movies, like I said when I reviewed the first one, but this one I think is a pretty decent step up from the first one, though. I know I'm probably the only person that would say that, but I thought the first one was just not very great, and in a way I think it's overrated, but in a way I know it's not really, because a lot of people don't like it, but I know a lot of people do like it, so it's kind of one of those that was a mixed bag. This one, I don't know hardly anybody that liked it, and everything. Like with Spider-Man 3, it had way too much going on, and I felt like Spider-Man 3 was handled a lot better. And of course, that one was written by Sam Raimi, so of course he knew more of what he was doing, although he admitted he didn't know what he was doing with some things of that movie. This one, though, they were trying to set up too much, like they were also trying to set up the Sinister Six in here by having Green Goblin in here, and aside from them two, we also get Rhino, who has a small appearance at the beginning of the movie and the ending, played by Paul Giamatti. And I love Paul Giamatti. I think he's a really great actor, but I don't think he was as good in this movie as I did when I saw it for the first time. I thought he was a lot better in that, and part of that I think is just because I think he's a good actor and everything, and he's one of those actors I love to see when he pops up and stuff. But this movie, it's not, I don't really blame him. He doesn't have enough screen time to really make that big of an impression, but I was looking forward to seeing what they would do if they did make a third one and have him in the movie a lot more, see if he would have been better. But we never did get that one, and everything. But this has some pretty good moments. So there are some parts in here that I really like, especially like that beginning scene when you see him swinging through New York, and the first shot of him where he's like falling down from the sky, in the sky and everything, and swinging around. That's an awesome scene, one of the highlights of the movie. And that whole opening with him and Rhino fighting, and that he's fighting him and chasing him down in that high-speed chase is a fun little scene. And then you get a couple other ones, but most of the fight scenes with Electro aren't very good, because Electro doesn't look very good in this movie. He's like, his entire body is completely blue. He doesn't look anything like the character Electro is supposed to, and he looks more like a Dr. Manhattan from Watchmen. He just looks really terrible and everything. And the CGI is some of the worst CGI in a superhero movie, and probably the worst out of all of the Spider-Man movies. This is the one that has the worst CGI. And Electro just looks absolutely awful in here and everything. I will say that I did like Jamie Foxx though as Max Dillon. I thought he was really good. I like at the beginning of the movie, he's kind of relatable and stuff, and he's kind of, I think he is kind of a relatable character and stuff, and I think he does a good job playing him and everything. He was one of the highlights of the movie for me, even though I didn't really like the design of him and stuff. Like I said, once he turned into Electro and stuff, he really was hard to look at. And I also thought it was really weird, like at the beginning of the movie, he has this big gap in his teeth, and when they transform and stuff, it fixes the gap in his teeth. I thought that was kind of weird too. I know a lot of people like to make fun of that, but I just think it's kind of weird. But I really do like him as Electro. I can't wait to see what they do with him in No Way Home. See if they do him more justice and better. I think that if Jamie Foxx has an even better script to work with, he could give an even better performance in that movie, and hopefully he does get a chance to kind of redeem himself, because I know a lot of people didn't like him in this movie. I personally didn't mind him, but I know a lot of people didn't like him. So hopefully he'll get a chance to get redeemed and everything, because Jamie Foxx is a really great actor. Dane DeHaan plays Harry Osborn in this movie, and I really don't care for him, although I somewhat like Dane DeHaan. I think he has a likable screen presence, but I think he's a bad actor, if that makes sense. Like his acting is pretty bad, and his line delivery, and it's not just in this movie. Every single movie I've seen him in, I haven't liked. I just feel like his acting is just not very good, but there is something about him that he does kind of have a little bit of a likable charm in this movie, and even more in the movie Valerian, which is kind of an underrated sci-fi movie that's also a comic book movie. But I think that he's okay as Harry and stuff, and like I said, he does have a little bit of a likable personality at the beginning of the movie, and the chemistry between him and Andrew Garfield is pretty good. It's actually pretty believable that they're good friends and stuff. One of the few parts about their friendship that makes it work well enough is that they have good chemistry and everything. And Andrew Garfield, I feel like, is a lot better in this movie than he was in the first one. I didn't really care for him in that first movie very much, especially as Peter Parker, seeing him as that high school nerd that, when he just seemed more like a skater dude than a nerd. He really wasn't believable that he was all that awkward and all that in that movie. This one, he didn't really do that very much in here, and he's more kind of and they wrote him different in this movie, and I think that Andrew Garfield was a lot better in here, in his performance in here, especially during that scene at the end when the Green Goblin kills Gwen Stacy and everything. You see him after he realizes she's dead and stuff, like it, his breakdown and stuff. It's just really emotional scene, and it's one of the highlights of this movie is that scene really elevates the movie. Even though I don't think Gwen Stacy should have died in this one. I think if they would have kept doing the series, they should have kept her alive and maybe killed her in the third movie and everything to kind of make their relationship where it was going good and stuff. I think that would have made the movie better if their relationship was going really good and then she just died in the third one. Yeah, I think that would have made it even better. Maybe made it where Green Goblin was teased at the end of this one and had him as the main villain of the next one. I think that would have been a good idea too, and it would have worked a lot better instead of just shoehorning him in here to tease the Sinister Six, which what luckily we'll be hopefully getting the Sinister Six in a much better form. But there are, like I said, some good things about the movie. There's some pretty bad things too. But I think this is a pretty decent movie, but I don't think it's a great movie. It's one that I can handle watching, and I enjoy it a little more every time I watch it. But I've always liked this one at least a little bit and everything. Like I said, it was a huge step up from the first, but to me, that didn't take a lot because I just really did not like the first one very much. I just thought the first was really kind of terrible, but this one, there's just something about it that I like. It does have its slow moments though, like anything when involving Peter's parents and stuff. I think they should have just kept all that out of both of these movies, because to be honest, I don't think anybody who are fans really care that much about the story between Peter's parents, and seeing that neither movie really went anywhere with it, we just don't really care about it and everything. And I will say also, Sally Field gets a little bit of a chance to shine in this movie, and her performance in this one particular scene when she's talking to Peter about missing Uncle Ben, and she talks to him about his parents and stuff when he's wanting to know, and she's like, "You're my boy," and all that. That was actually a pretty good scene. I had actually forgotten about that scene. So Sally Field did kind of get a little bit of redemption in this movie, because the last movie she didn't hardly do anything, but she did get a little bit more time to shine as Aunt May in this one. And I did like that too, but all in all, I think that they did an alright job with this movie. It could have been a lot better had it been a lot better written, and they weren't trying to set up too much. Like I said, the Sinister Six stuff was shoehorned in here, and them keeping the stuff going with his parents and stuff, they could have kept that out, just stuck with the Harry being sick storyline and the Electro storyline, and I think the movie would have been a lot better and everything. And like I said, they should have just kept it where Green Goblin was teased at the end of the movie and everything, instead of just trying to set up more villains and stuff. They could have still kept the Rhino as like a setup at the beginning of the movie, not shown him at the end of it or anything either, and I think it could have worked, but it just didn't work the way they did this movie. But yeah, like I said, it's far from the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen. It's not even really, like I said, I won't even say it's the worst Spider-Man movie. It's definitely not one of the best Spider-Man movies either, but it's definitely not as bad as some people say it is. But I'm not going to really argue with a lot of people that say that it's not a very good movie, because it really isn't a great movie. But I think it's alright, and it's a little underrated, but not really a lot underrated though, because it doesn't really it does have a lot of issues, so it's not really a greatly made movie. But I'll give credit where credit is due and say that this one is just an alright movie, and it's an okay one to rewatch every now and then, but it's not one that I'd want to just revisit anytime. If I'm watching Spider-Man movies and stuff, the Amazing Spider-Man movies would be the last ones I usually would want to go to be honest. Most of the time, if I'm in a Spider-Man mood, I watch the Raimi movies or the ones with Tom Holland usually. But this one is okay. Like I said, it's a step up from the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, but it's still not a super great movie. But so I'd say I'd give The Amazing Spider-Man a 6 out of 10. It's probably more than it really deserves, but I'm giving it a little bit higher just because it is a big improvement on the first one to me. And I did have some fun with it during the beginning of the movie, and some of the scenes in here are pretty fun, but it had a lot more potential to be better than it was. But for what it is, it's decent enough. But if this movie didn't happen and didn't flop, we would have never got Tom Holland's Spider-Man, so there's another plus for that. That's good enough reason to give it a 6 instead of a 5. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Do you actually like this one quite a bit? Do you think it's underrated like I kind of think it is a little bit? Or do you think it's very underrated? Is it your favorite Spider-Man movie? I don't know anybody that has said that, but if it is, be interested in hearing that. If it is, why it is your favorite and everything. But if it's not your favorite, let me know about that too. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.